I hate doing intros and stuff like that. And just like, okay, a producer would like press a button and then stuff would happen. And then, I like to be the guy that just sits there. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Blackballed, the podcast. My name is James D. Fiore, and with me is a very special guest, very timely guest too, because there is an Olympic Games happening in February, and we have a four-time Olympian on the podcast today, Mercedes Nicoll. Sorry, I keep on saying Nichols because I went to high school with a girl named Christy Nichols, and so it's been in my brain for the last 2 days. How are you, though?
I'm good. It's snowing outside. I'm in Whistler right now. I can't complain.
And you're from Whistler too, right? You don't just live there because you snowboard.
No, I grew up here from the age of 12. My parents moved back to Vancouver, and I came kicking and screaming, but I'm very grateful now.
It's funny. I've been to Whistler, I think 4 times.
Mhm.
Never met anyone from Whistler when I was there.
Yeah, we're far and few between. A lot of us move away. Not everyone is an avid skier and snowboarder like I am.
Yeah. I was gonna open with, well, first of all, you're a four-time Olympian.
Mhm.
You're a multi-medalist at World Cups. I remember, and I'm not going to show the clip. We're not going to like dwell on this, but we're going to dwell on something that's really positive. You
Okay.
had a bad fall, I think, in 2006.
2014. I had a lot of falls, my friend.
Okay.
I've had a lot of falls.
Well, the one that maybe it was 20. I just read it. So yeah. Okay, let's go
2006,
with.
yeah, 2006, I crashed in the Olympics, and then 2014 was a crash that took me out for 2 years.
Which is the one though where you got up and were like, "I'm still going to compete," and
Yeah,
they said,
2014.
"No, you had a concussion."
No, they never said no. I went right past the doctors and didn't let them say no.
That's what I love. That's the story that I heard then. And I love that. I love that competitive
Mhm.
streak.
Some might call it stubbornness.
I don't know what your nationality is, but they're all either alcoholics or stubborn or both, right?
Yeah, I got some Scottish blood.
Oh, well, there you go. You got both. That's good. No, but like it does take a certain level of like, it's like, I didn't like it when people were shitting on that gymnast from the States.
Oh, no, me neither. That was
right. Yeah.
mad.
But people were comparing it to like to physical injuries. Like baseball players who limp, like Kirk Gibson when he limped up to the plate in the National League Championship Series that one year and hit a home run, and everyone was like, "That's how you do it." It's not the same when it's your brain, and especially when you're doing tricks like you do or tricks like Simone. Like these types of things are like I can't even comprehend it. Like,
well, the thing is, like in sports, like that are quite extreme, you have to think like over 60% of it is mental. So if your brain's not in the game, if you're not ready to give her, like you're gonna get hurt.
yeah, I mean, I've done so many psychedelics in my life that I don't know how to stick the landing. I'm gonna land on my head and be like, "I did it, guys. I did it." It's like, James, you're paralyzed. Oh, fuck. Like the contortions that you guys do, and it's really interesting because snowboarding just became an Olympic sport in our lifetimes. And was it 99?
98 was the first
98.
one. Yeah. Yeah.
And that was the one where we represented with marijuana consumption, right? Isn't it?
We really did. We had Rasa Breglia in there. This that's a story in itself.
Yeah, because I don't know anything about him other than the fact that he had pot in his system. I know a lot of people though that if they play certain sports, like people swear that if they smoke a joint and then play pool, that they'll be better. I know in street basketball.
How would it not? You're like way more mellow and calm, and you're like not freaking out. I don't know. I guess it depends on the person.
It probably depends on the person.
Weed, so I don't
but
really
I think
know.
you're focused. I think you're focused better too. Like you have extra sensory depth perception and stuff. Like I knew guys on the basketball court where they would be like, they'll be all right. Hit a couple jumpers, maybe turn the ball over and a couple good passes. And then they go and smoke a joint and they come back and they were like spinning away from double teams and hitting the fadeaway and shit. And I was just like, holy shit. So for some people, it actually works like that. Like it's funny how it's nonlinear when it comes to the performance enhancement side of it.
Yeah.
But it's a relatively new sport, and you're kind of like are there any other four-time Olympians in snowboarding?
Well, in freestyle snowboarding in other countries, there are a lot of them. I think I'm the only one in Canada. I've never thought about that before for snowboarding and freestyle. But there are like summer Olympians just keep going. Um,
Yeah.
but everyone's like 4 times. I'm like, yeah, it's a lot for an extreme sport. We do
On your
have a
knees.
snowboard
My
like my
God.
whole body, like my rib, like I have a funny story about my ribs. Like I said, I crash a lot. And I at the 2010 games, I ended up getting pancreatitis the
Mm.
day of the contest. That was my best Olympics, actually. I ended up sixth. But I was like in some pain and I was like, huh, okay, well, whatever. We'll just push on as you do. And,
Mhm.
the next couple of days, I was like, I couldn't walk. There was nothing I could do. So I went to the doctor and, like, had all these tests. They thought it was my appendix. I'm like, "Take it out. I don't care. Like, whatever. I just wanna walk in the closing ceremonies because they didn't do that in 2006, and I was like, "You don't who goes to 2 Olympics? This is ridiculous. I wanna be
Yeah.
here for all of it."
Yeah.
Because I left early in 2006. Anyways, long story short, I had pancreatitis, and then I got it again in that December. So the Olympics are February. I got it again in December. Almost a year later. And the doctor was like, took an x-ray and she's like, Mercedes, I'm on morphine, like feeling better. But she's like, you have broken a lot of ribs. And I was like, "What are you talking about?" My ribs hurt all the time. I didn't
Mm.
think that I'd broken any, but she showed me that me and my dad the X-ray, and my dad's jaw dropped, and I just started laughing, and I was like, "This is ridiculous." Like, they're all healed, but you can see all the fracture lines, and I was like, "Is that my X-ray?"
You're like a Navy SEAL. That's what a Navy SEAL would say. I had 3 broken ribs for about 18 months. Didn't even notice, but laughed when I found out. Like, that's
Yeah,
hilarious.
it's well, I mean, now today I have like a rib out. Like now I go to sleep and I look wrong and I get a rib out. I'm old, but
Uh,
yeah, them's the breaks being a snowboarder.
yeah. I have some rotator cuff tendonitis from when I was a pitcher in high school, but that's
Ooh.
about it. That's the only way I can relate to you on that level.
Mhm,
But I do have a really awesome Whistler story, and I just wanted
mhm.
to tell you because I'm told by people that live in Whistler. A friend of mine used to. I don't know. We lost touch. I don't know if he still does, but he was a snowboard instructor there. I think from like 2000 to 2008 or something like that.
Yep.
Nathan. His name's Nathan. You know Nathan Baptiste.
I wasn't living
All
here
right.
at that time.
Be kind of cool if you did, but when I was, this is going to go somewhere. This is going to sound really weird. And I'm going to try to condense it because this is not not about me, but it's about you. But your hometown was magical for me in a sense because my grandfather died on my 11th birthday. And when I was sitting in my room and I was looking out the window, I asked myself, and I said it out loud because I was a weird kid, where are you going to be in the year 2000 and what will you be doing? And it was cathartic. It's cathartic even thinking about it because I'm just this 11-year-old kid confused. Like what did my grandfather do on my birthday? And the year 2000 seemed so far away from 1987.
Yeah.
And then I fast forward. Um, I'll skip over the parts that probably don't need to be explained too much, but I was on like 3 hits of ecstasy and I went up the gondola on New Year's 1999, right? Because I couldn't find my friends.
Okay.
My one friend Nathan, who actually I don't even like. And anyways, I got up to the top of the gondola, and
I
then
like that you call it a gondola. Gondola.
is it a gondola?
Gondola.
Gondola,
Gondola.
like Toronto kind of thing.
Like
Gondola.
gon Sorry, keep going. I'm ruining your
Okay.
story.
So I went to the top of the gondola, and you know how like the people, the staff at the time, there was a staff building, but it was like halfway up the mountain on the left hand side. If you were going up the mountain,
Yeah.
there was like all these little, they look like co-op housings in the ghetto sort of thing.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyways, I went.
Mid-station?
What's that?
It's called mid-station?
Might be. Yes, that
Yeah.
sounds familiar. This is,
Okay.
come on, this is 23 years ago or 22
No,
years ago.
I'm
So
loving it. Keep going.
so I got to the top and then I was like, and then and then it was like, and it just stopped for the night. And I'm like, oh. So I had to walk
Wait, you
from
were
the
in the
top.
gondola and then it stopped?
When I got to the top, I got off, and then there
Yeah.
was no more gondolas going down,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
So I had to walk down Whistler Mountain to get to mid station to go back to with my friends. I don't know if you've ever walked that. Takes a
That's
while.
far.
Yeah, it takes a little bit.
What?
About halfway
Maybe you
down.
were on Blackcomb and then you were you on Whistler or were you on Blackcomb? I'm trying to figure it out. Because there's staff housing at, like, kinda mid-station of Blackcomb.
Okay, maybe it was Blackcomb. They're kind of the same thing. I know there's two different mountains and everything, but like
Yeah.
one of them, right? So
I'm
then
like, no one lives at Mid Station on
I'm
Whistler.
sorry, someone lived there. Okay, it must be Blackcomb then.
Yeah.
Gray
Oh, and he was
buildings.
an instructor. Okay.
Yeah. He was an instructor. That's right. Anyways, so I'm walking down, and the E really starts to kick in at this point,
Oh,
and I can hear in the distance 10, 9, 8, all the way to 1, and it was like Happy New Year. And at that very moment, I remembered the 11-year-old James that was sitting in his bedroom wondering where he would be in the year 2000, and I said the answer out loud and answered him, and I was just like, "You're lost on a mountain on ecstasy, you fucking idiot." And I just started laughing, and then I got really, really cold, so I fucking just hightailed it down to the mountain, or down halfway, and got back to the place where these Australian girls were like, "Why did you charge us $60 for the ecstasy you sold us?" And I was like, "Because you were fucking assholes to me." Anyways, that's a totally different part of the story, but it did serve as the bookend to a 13-year story that had no middle, if you know what I mean.
Well,
Whistler's a
a lot of
magical
things
place.
happen in the middle there.
Yeah. What gave that away? But it's weird because you come from I don't know. It's just I'm pretty. I find depth and deepness where there probably isn't any, but I do know that Whistler does hold a kind of spot in my heart for that story. You know what I mean? Another time that I went there, I went to the hostel, and I got in drunk late, and I tripped over these Danish 10 speeds that weren't there when I left, and I got really upset, and I kicked one of them, and then I got kicked out of the hostel. So maybe it's not a magical place. Maybe I'm
Can't wait for you to come back.
Yeah.
What's gonna happen next?
No, they were. I didn't bring a snowboard, and I didn't plan to snowboard when I went the first time. And my buddy was like, "What do you mean?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm a writer. I came to drink, and I came to write." And he's
There you
like,
go.
and then the rest of the time that I was there, the snowboarders just gave me like, "Oh, is this the guy that doesn't cut?" What does cut mean?
I don't know.
Cut powder? But the weather was
Never heard that before. Maybe
good.
I'm not
They're
down
not as
with
cool as
that.
they thought they were. Not
They
as cool.
don't cut.
But what is your favorite spot? Really, this is just a long-winded way of asking you. What is your favorite spot? That doesn't have to necessarily do with snowboarding or skiing or whatever. Away from home, like, do you have one of those?
Ooh.
Doesn't have to be your
Well,
favorite.
I
But
do like coming home because I've traveled so much. So, like, if you put it all together, the Olympics happen every 4 years, and I did 4, and you need some time to train before that. So, at least 20 years of my life, if not more than half my life, I've been on the road living out of a suitcase. So, I kinda love coming home.
that's a good answer, because home, right? Like, a lot of
Yeah.
people are running away from home. Like, I'm from a
Yes.
place called Whitby
Yeah.
in Ontario.
Represent.
I like the shirt better than the people or the town, right? So don't know why. No, I know why. That's that middle we were talking about. But
That
you
we
know,
were not talking about.
yeah, we're not talking. Well, we can talk about whatever you want. I want to make it back about you again because I have that habit. But are
Mhm.
you going to the Olympics this year as part of like the committee?
No, I'm not.
Why
The
not?
last well, it's really difficult with COVID.
Mm,
Also, you apply to go to be part of it, and I think it's a little
okay.
too soon. I was lucky enough to go in right before the pandemic started to be part of the team of the Youth Olympics,
Oh,
which
okay.
were in Switzerland in 2020 in January, and that was the first Olympics where I wasn't an athlete, and that was super interesting. And I work in events, so it was interesting to see the other side of it all, and just kinda take care of the kids, which was super fun. But, I'm kind of, like, okay with not going to China.
Yeah. Okay. Just because it's geopolitical and the health thing that's happening right now. Do you agree? First of all, maybe a more broad question. Do you think politics and sports should ever be intertwined?
They are, no matter what. Do I think they should be? I wish they weren't for the
Yeah,
athletes'
we're not
sake.
we're not sending our diplomats this year.
Yeah, I don't think they were gonna go anyway.
No. So it
Nope.
was the easy. Yeah, you're probably right, eh? Like an easy decision for them. Like, let's
Yeah.
just say it's because of politics, but really it's because of COVID, you know.
They're just agreeing, right? Um, but yeah, it as long as the athletes get to compete, I think that's the main thing because Canada, we did jump on one of the boycotts, and then the only people it hurts and hinders are the athletes. Like,
Yeah,
you train 4 years plus to go to one competition, and then it's taken away from you. Fuck it, brutal.
yeah. Yeah, that happens, and it's oftentimes, what the Russians had. What was the Ru maybe you can answer me this because I haven't really looked up it. What was with the Russian it wasn't called Russia for, like, the last Olympics. It was called, like, the
Yes,
Russian
so
con what was it
they
called?
go under the Olympic flag. They can't actually fly their own flag. But
For
they
what?
athletes can go compete, but they can't compete under their home flag. So it would be like
So
me
weird.
going to compete and not having Canada anything. It's all Olympic branded, and if you win, it's the Olympic flag that goes up, not your
That
flag.
is so weird. That like, video games used to do that for athletes that didn't sign their sponsorship clauses.
Did they?
I remember basketball for Atari had like one Jordan game. It was oh no, it was Magic versus Bird. Anyways, when Nintendo came out with like NBA Live 92 or whatever,
Mm.
Chicago had Scottie Pippen, Horace Grant, Bill Cartwright, and number 23.
Oh, they don't even get their name.
No, that was a Jordan decision. Jordan's like, you didn't pay me enough. I'm not going on your video game. And he had that clout, right? At that time. Imagine having that much clout.
No. That would be awesome, but kinda scary at the same time.
Yeah, I don't think I'd want that much clout. Are there any like well, I'm gonna have one serious question because I think it's important right now, especially in what's happening with women's sports. And I was wondering if you had an opinion on trans women competing in women's sports.
You know what? I've been thinking about this for years, and I still don't have an answer.
Yeah. It's
I
hard
don't
to even have even if you have an answer, it's hard to say an answer.
I don't even think I'd wanna be on the committee that chooses for this to happen because I don't know that much about the science behind it, and I think that's what it comes down to because there's one athlete who had too much, testosterone, and then she was told she wasn't allowed to compete. So I I don't know enough information about it either. Like, does it come down to the science of hormones that are in your body, um, to be
Yeah,
able to compete?
it apparently doesn't, and that's just only because like
So
you would
then
have to
what's up
train.
with the what well, then what's then why did that other woman not be able
Yeah,
to compete?
that decision
They're,
was
like,
odd.
suppressing her. Yeah.
That decision was odd because she's chromosomally, I don't know if that's a word, but her chromosomes are that of a woman, right? Like that
Yeah,
should be how you determine it. If you just happen to be a woman, a biological woman who happens to have high testosterone, well, good for you. Now maybe you
yeah,
can dunk or something, right? Like that,
yeah.
or whatever it happens to be. And I think that makes sense. Only if you transition as a child, I think you should be allowed. Because
Yeah,
if
but
you train,
what's too young to transition?
oh, you shouldn't transition as a child, though. That was my that was my next one. Right? Like I'm just like if you happen to be a child whose parents decided to take a big fucking risk and shoot you full of hormones and puberty blockers, then maybe you can compete in women's sports when you're older. But I don't know if I
I
would do
don't know
that.
what the answer is, like, I
No.
haven't had to deal with that personally, so
Yeah, well, that's good.
that's a really tough question. I would love a poll to go out and, like, know
Yeah.
what
So
everyone's thoughts are.
sorry, I can't say all the jokes swimming around in my head, but has to do with poll because a lot of people want a poll, and that's all they want, guys. They're just humans. But I smoked a joint, all right, before I got on here. That's what we do. You were about to say me too, right?
No, I didn't.
Do you smoke weed? Most snowboarders
No,
smoke
no.
weed, don't they?
Yeah, no, everyone asks me this. I don't smoke as much weed as everyone else. I barely smoke any weed.
Okay. Are you high right now?
No, it's early for me, that's
Yeah.
all. Do
Oh,
I
okay.
sound like I'm high?
No, but you're smiling and laughing,
That's
and
just me, I don't really people
it's
are
we're
well,
living the age of COVID. I don't
I
ever
know,
see
I
people
know.
smiling and laughing. I thought this interview because I don't know you at all. I didn't have any expectations, but I wouldn't have been surprised if it was like this. Yeah. Why you? Yeah. I like snowboarding.
No, no. No, this is just me, like, so when I had my crash in 2014, I, like, I was that. I was like, nothing.
Okay.
And then I worked really hard to, like, figure out what was wrong with me, realizing I was depressed, obviously, I couldn't do anything. And and then I couldn't drink for, like, a while. I kinda took that out of everything, and I went to a wedding, and someone's like, "You're not drinking?" And I was like, "No, but I'll be just as fun as I was when I was drinking, and I will still dance on tables. I'm still the same person, so
That's
watch out
hilarious.
now."
I don't drink either anymore.
You don't?
No, I stopped drinking, right before the pandemic started, like December 2019.
Good
It
for
was a
you.
total fluky, like, I didn't know
And
pandemic was
how's that
coming.
going during the pandemic?
I was, surprisingly well. Like, I haven't been drunk in 2 years, and, I lost 60 pounds, right? Like, I was a
Ooh.
kind of a fatty. I'm only 5'6", and I was weighing, like, 100 or 204 pounds or something like
Right.
that, like, which is just, and for me, as an Italian guy, or half Italian or whatever, it all goes to the belly. So I still had these, like, chicken legs, but then this pot belly thing, and it's like, "What the fuck?" Like, I look like a Keebler elf, bald, right?
Boobs.
No good. Yeah. No, I didn't have moobs. I didn't have the man boobs or anything like that.
No,
But,
that I said that's the boobs. I mean,
what?
the booze, not boobs. Then you got
Okay.
me on boobs.
Yeah. It probably was the booze, but I also did this, like, intermittent fasting thing that I hadn't heard of
Oh, yeah,
until I
people are
saw
doing
some
that.
guy that I totally didn't trust deliver the information, and I was like, "I'll try it anyways." So, all I did was not eat at all, outside of the 1 to 6 time frame during a day, and if
Okay.
I did, it was only blueberries, bran flakes, and almond milk. So in between 1 and 6,
For you.
I would eat, like, protein, fruits, and vegetables, and then, like, whatever, and then afterwards, just that was my cheat food,
So
and I lost weight.
when you did drink, what was your drink of choice?
Gallons and gallons and gallons of red wine. That was my go-to, yeah,
Oh,
and,
Italian. You're
yeah,
Italian, right, right, right.
and vodka.
Yeah, and vodka.
Yeah.
Funny about vodka, when I was coming back, I went to a neuro psych, and he was like, "Well, you're over your depression, but you can drink anything clear." And I was like, "So you're telling me I can drink vodka?" And I
Did he mean
love
it?
vodka. Yeah,
What is the
yeah, yeah, he
difference
was for real.
between clear and
I don't know, but anytime I drank wine, I was like got the headache for like 10 days. I was like, "This is not worth it." And I so
uh,
the only repercussion from my concussion is, ooh, that rhymed, is, is I can't drink wine. And I have
white or
probably drank
red?
I don't drink any of it.
But when you did.
Oh, I was red,
Okay,
and
because
I
white's
probably
white's
drank
not really wine.
enough. No, I would probably have drank enough for my whole life before that, so
Yeah.
we're good. I
Yeah,
lived in
me too.
California for 9 years
Oh, did
training,
you?
and then the wine there is like $5, and you're just it's good wine, right?
Where do you
So,
train in California?
I was in Mammoth Lakes, California for 9 years
Oh,
for
wow.
the shoulder season, so for, like, the beginning of the season and then the springtime. Then I
And they have
travel all
is it like
year.
manufactured snow on half pipes
No,
kind of thing? No?
they're at, like, 8,000 feet plus.
Oh, wow. Oh, that
Yeah,
must have been you've been in some of the most beautiful places then.
I have. I'm lucky, but it's all winter, right?
Yeah, well,
And then
true.
everyone's like, "Oh, you've been here, you've been here." I'm like, "I think I've been there," but we literally flew in and competed and then flew out. So some of the places I didn't actually get to see much at all.
Yeah. Yeah, you need that R&R if you're gonna go to, like, exotic ski places,
Mhm.
in
Sometimes
Italy
it's
or
too
wherever,
expensive.
Germany.
Sometimes it's too expensive.
Yeah, and you're a Canadian athlete.
Yeah. Yeah, I say that a lot. I'm like, Please support your Canadian athletes because
For the love of God, we make less than
they
people who play in the CFL, guys. It's bad.
I don't even I probably I think that you're under the poverty line is what you get if you're a carded athlete.
Yeah, I don't wanna get you in trouble, so you don't have to say anything, but you can allow me to just say how much I think that the IOC sometimes is really missing the boat when it comes to, like, taking care of their athletes that enrich them, so, like, it kinda reminds me of college. If I flip the script from, Olympics to college sports, especially in the States,
Mhm.
it's like billions of dollars, and if the athlete gets $500 from, Joe the loan shark, then his whole fucking life is fucked, you know? It's true. Like, you're not allowed to take
Okay.
anything because the implication could be that you're shaving points or that whatever.
Right, 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 right,
And
yeah.
it's like, yeah, but you just made $1 billion, UCLA, give some of
No
that back.
handouts, no handouts. Yeah, same with IOC. I feel like they should pay the athletes to win. You win nothing. In some countries, you win nothing, just the medal. In some countries, you win a house and you're set for life. In Canada, I think it was like 3 Olympics ago, they just started, giving money
Yeah,
for
you get like a Timbits commercial, maybe.
No, that's only just for Justin Bieber.
Oh yeah, yeah. See, now you lost that too.
Thanks,
What is it now?
Bieber.
Welcome to Arby's. We don't eat this shit because it will fuck up our training, but you should. It's gonna happen.
Oh, man.
Do you get like when the start of school used to start in September, even as like a 35-year-old or something, I would get a nervous stomach. Do you feel nerves for the athletes, like in a sort of cathartic way, when the Olympics start and you're not there? Do you think you'll feel that way?
I don't know, this is my first time.
That's right. That's why I adjusted the question right in the middle of it because I forgot. 4-time Olympian.
I
Yeah.
I was riding with, my old teammate, Derek Livingston, who's going to Beijing, and I had that epiphany. I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is gonna be my first Olympics not being an athlete and not being there, because I didn't really know anything about the Olympics before my first Olympics. Like, I went into those super naive and didn't know anything.
You were what,
Um,
19 in your first Olympic or something? 20?
no, I think I was like 22.
Okay.
I'm still super young. No,
Yeah. Yeah.
I just turned 38.
You don't do duck lips and you'll be fine forever.
True, true, true. Yeah, no, I was riding with him and I couldn't believe it. So I mean, I got nervous for my friends in the summer games, so I think I'm gonna just be squirming the whole time.
Yeah. And COVID doesn't I've been like my friends hate it when I say this, but I haven't watched any sports in the last 2 years.
Oh, you haven't?
Not really. And I was a sports guy in the sense that like
You
I
know
was
everything.
no, when I was in high school, no, you know, not even then, because I had all these friends that were like fucking. When it came to sports, they were Rain Man, all of them. They're like, you know, and this is before the internet, right? So they were like, yeah, Ted Williams was the last one to bat 400, and this, and they have all these stats memorized in their head, and it was just like, fuck, it was hard to keep up.
Yeah.
I went another way. I memorized lyrics and hip hop songs, and they memorized sports facts, right? But
Karaoke, here you come.
yeah, right. I am a hobbyist. I'm pretty good. But then when it came to when it came to COVID, so I was like a Raptors fan. I would watch I was a Habs fan. I enjoyed watching playoff basketball and playoff hockey. Some NFL, not really. I've never watched the CFL and I don't want to. But then COVID hit and I was like, there's no fans.
Well, there was no sports.
Well, there was no fans though either.
Right.
So when the sports did start up again, it would be like the announcer would be like, he shoots, he scores. And then when he would stop talking, you just hear
Right.
like
you need to bring back those
they brought back the cheering
clapping.
can.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then they put in the NBA, they put cardboard cutouts.
Yeah. I saw that.
And the digital cutouts and all this stuff. And it's like, so I couldn't.
People probably would have paid money for that. People like random people probably would have paid money to have their face as a cardboard cutout.
I bet you they did. I bet you
probably
some
didn't think
fucking
about that.
disaster capitalist sat back and was like, Mercedes Nicoll, you sell these real estate inside these arenas for me. You're like, yeah, it's a great idea. I just put my own face all over the arena. But no, but it was like, I realized though that the fans, probably not in your sport and that's kind of cool though. The fans on TV, and I could be totally wrong. I don't remember seeing snowboarding. Oh, I do actually. The half pipe routines are always like the fans are in the back there watching it, right? You can see.
Yeah, they go up the sides of the walls and then they're at the bottom, like an amphitheater.
Yeah, but when you're going down the course, whatever you call it, the fans are all at the bottom, aren't they? For the most part.
Well, they can. So a half pipe is over 500. It's like longer than a football field.
Oh.
So, and then on an 18-degree pitch. And so people would stand on both sides because it's 22-foot walls.
Oh, okay. I see. Well, maybe your sport's not a good example, but the big, giant professional team sports, I just couldn't watch without fans.
Fair.
And
well, we didn't have fans in 2010, actually, because our snow was so bad that actually it was a hazard for people to stand on the sides of the half pipe. So those tickets had been sold and the people couldn't come watch. And that was weird because we're used to, like, in X Games and stuff, people, like, literally are, like, on the walls, and if you're in the air and you're not paying attention to what you're doing, you can hear the people.
That is hilarious. Yeah, but it's you though, right? You don't see them, do you? Like when you're in your zone and everything,
if you're in your zone, you don't pay attention to them, but if you're, like, just kinda shoot, like, just doing straight airs or something, you can see them and hear them.
Oh, really? You can hear
Yeah.
them? That would be
Yeah,
annoying.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. And you can hear the announcer. Like, sometimes when I would drop in, I'd be like, "Yeah, he did not pronounce my name right," or, "That's not me, I am Mercedes dropping, and he named someone else."
Oh, yeah. Or there'd be that
You
guy like
shouldn't be
me.
paying attention to that kinda stuff when you're dropping into 22-foot walls.
There would be that guy like me. You would take like 4 trips down just to warm up, and every time you went down, I'd tell you like 25% of the joke
Right. Yeah,
to fuck with
exactly.
your head. Fuck, I
Yeah.
hate that guy. Have you ever had anyone removed?
No.
You know who
No.
just did that? LeBron James.
What did the person do?
Just scream shit at him, sitting in
Well,
their
that
seat
would be
eating
like
popcorn.
yeah, they're right there.
Yeah,
I feel like if
I don't
yeah,
know.
again, sports is mental, so get him out.
Really? I think that you get him out if he's like spilling beer all over the court or if he's standing up or whatever. It was actually a woman, I think. I think it was like a couple, but they were really after the woman. The woman was just sitting there like, "You suck, LeBron. Shut up. You suck." And it was kind of like that. And it was like, okay. Like I
Well,
couldn't imagine.
why do you have to do that at a game? They're obviously
I don't know.
American.
You're a fan. It's freedom of speech.
I
Is
don't know.
is there an anti-vaxxer community in Whistler?
No, we're like 90% vaccinated because we got the Brazil variant here.
Oh,
So go way back in the memories before Delta.
I
It was the
barely remember that.
Brazil variant, which was like
Isn't that when we
gonna
were
take.
still being racist about what we called it?
I don't know.
Do you remember that? They were like, "You can't
No.
call it the you can't call it the Wuhan virus." Not the
Oh,
Trump thing where he was like really being a dick about it. And it was like you know, and then they went from coronavirus to Wuhan virus, which CNN called it. Then they went to COVID. And then and then there was all these articles about how it's racist to name a virus after where that was from or whatever. And then a
right.
week later, they're like the UK variant of the
Right.
COVID virus. And you're just like, I forgot the white thing. Yeah.
Never
You're
ending.
allowed to be
No.
racist against white people as long as they're gingers. That's what I was told.
No, my mom's a ginger.
Sorry to hear that. Just kidding. I'm just kidding. No, it's really just the boy gingers, and it's really just when they're young. It's
Just knock them while they're going through puberty. Just get them.
just every ginger boy I ever met in elementary school, the ones that had like the blonde eyelashes and shit and
Yeah.
freckles and stuff,
Yeah.
they were always the bully.
Oh, really? Not in our
Always
school.
in my school, they were always the bully because you were afraid of them to begin with because they got fucking blonde eyelashes. It was really off-putting. You're a kid, but then those guys always grow up to be like Prince. What's his face? Like
Harry?
attractive men, right? Like the gingers start from an ugly duckling and then they grow up to be like a prince. So
That's a
kind of
lot
weird.
of people. That's a lot of people. Most
Brody
people
from Homeland. No?
don't watch Homeland.
Oh, okay.
Darn.
That's too
I'm
bad.
right into Yellowstone right now, though.
Is that a Western?
Yeah.
Oh, you like Westerns, eh?
With
I,
this
really?
man, yes. Yeah.
Who's in it? I have no idea. I've never heard of it.
Kevin Costner and Luke Grimes.
Oh, that's why you like it because of Luke Grimes.
Yeah.
Or do you have like an old man Kevin Costner thing?
No.
No.
Oh, Brent, I'm a ginger. I've never been compared to Prince.
Oh, see, I'm just trying to do good work for you, buddy, Brendan.
Oh man, two gingers on there.
Did you
Sorry.
play any other sports growing up? Like, did you like? I'm imagining that you were probably kind of an athlete, but
yeah. So when I was younger, I tried everything. I
So
tried
did I.
track. I'm not a
could have played
runner.
sports. No.
I'm in like grade 5. I won an award at school for doing like all the sports. And then I moved out to Whistler and I grew up skiing. My dad was supposed to go to the Olympics, but he broke his leg.
Oh,
And I didn't really put any of that together. Like snowboarding wasn't in the Olympics. I didn't really care. I just wanted to do what I did. I grew up figure skating competitively as well. But then like, I don't know how many people know this, but in figure skating, when you're at like a younger level, it's just like, I'm gonna beat you. We're not friends. And I
like
wasn't
your
really into that.
coach? You mean your
No, like
relationship with your coach, or
no,
between skaters?
between skaters, yeah.
Oh.
So I had a really good friend in skating, and I was like, this is getting a bit toxic. So I started snowboarding because everyone was snowboarding in the mid-90s, and, I picked up a snowboard and never looked back, and that was when I was, like, 13, 14, and then I started competing, and I've been competing since, like, internationally since I was probably, like, 16.
That's amazing, especially since when was the snowboard even invented? Like, you know
I
what I
wanna
mean?
say, like, the late '70s, but
Really?
I'm not a historian.
No, neither am I. If only we had some sort of device where we could look stuff up.
No.
However, what's the point? No,
Don't
but
touch
because
don't
but
ask too many
it did
people.
seem new. Like when I was young in the 80s, like the skateboards were still like this thin, unless you lived in California, right? They were
Yeah,
these little banana things, right?
yeah, yeah.
So I feel like snowboarding didn't really like take off. It didn't take off in that then until what, the late 80s, something like that.
It really took off in the mid-90s, but, like, the hardcores were in the '80s, I'd say.
And everyone listened to who were the bands, the popular bands for snowboarding back then?
I mean, anything on a snowboard movie on a cassette tape for them out there. Or not a cassette, a VHS.
It was
Like
like all the yeah, it was like all those bands that like copied Green Day, right?
yeah,
Wasn't it?
kinda.
Yeah. And then
Yeah.
some hip hop stuff, and then that Fred Durst band and shit like that, wasn't it?
I couldn't name them, but I could name, like I could be like, "Oh, that song was in this movie." Uh, like snowboarding.
And do snowboarders, and because you've probably been around both, do they just have an affinity like the kind where you can just nod at a surfer and the surfer's like, yeah, I got you? Like, is it one of those things? Like, is it the same vibe?
It's kinda cliquey. Snowboarding's kinda cliquey.
It is. It's
Yeah,
annoyingly
like
cliquey, kind of.
well, there's only 4 that can sit on a chairlift, so you're like, "Oh, hey, wanna ride?" Like, and then you're like, "Oh, you're already 4. I don't wanna really."
Ruin your good
But
vibe.
you
Yeah.
got your, like, friend groups, and if you can break into the friend groups, then you're
Is it
set.
still like that?
Yeah.
Why is it like that? Well, like, I mean, culturally, why do people have to segregate themselves? Like, you'd figure like snowboarders go
Because
to the Olympics and
everyone
they're
is
like, you know what we could
because
use right now at this table, guys? A curler.
because everyone is insecure and doesn't wanna do anything by themselves, so they grab someone.
That's true.
Yeah.
And so,
Like, I couldn't imagine really seeing a dude snowboarder I know riding by themselves. They'd be like, "No one's with me." I just threw everyone under the bus, but, like, a fair few wouldn't do that.
they'd be like, but you could, if you did see that, you'd be like, that's a cancer.
I'd be like, "Oh my god, a miracle!
Yeah,
A
exactly.
confident snowboarder."
No, more like he's so sad. Look at you can follow this trail of tears in the snow. Be
But
great.
we would be I ride by myself sometimes, and I listen to music, so you're not always
Yeah,
alone.
that's not dangerous, I guess, when you're on the half pipe. It is sort of. How
No,
would you hear the
well,
avalanche? What if you cause an avalanche with your awesome like speakers, your
depends
your
where
headphones? You got to think
well,
about these things,
those
Mercedes.
would be pretty poor headphones if
Have
they
you
were
ever had any
causing you
close? Yeah. Have you ever? They'd be pretty dope, actually. Beats by Dre causing avalanches in Whistler.
so loud.
Have you ever come close? Because I remember another memory from Whistler was like it was like 18 degrees or whatever
Mm.
on top of the mountain, like where the snow was in like December. It was amazing. But then they wouldn't let you ride for a couple days because they said that the heat was melting it and the avalanche risk increased. Have you ever had any
Oh.
close calls like that?
I mean, I try and be as safe as possible because I really don't wanna die in an avalanche, so
That is a fair statement.
so, no, I try and go out and be smart, and luckily, knock on wood, haven't been, caught in an avalanche.
Have you ever seen one?
Yeah,
What are
yeah.
they like? What is it? That
I
must be
mean,
crazy.
well, at Whistler, if you're just on the mountain at the right time, you can see a helicopter coming by and throwing bombs out to, like, make
Oh,
avalanches happen. Also, when, like, the sun heats a rock, and then the snow around there will just, like, avalanche, and then also if, like, someone's you can always see, like, the debris of it as well.
you know who doesn't know any of these facts?
Mm.
People who live in Saskatchewan.
Well, that's understandable.
Wow. Have you ever been to Saskatchewan?
I have been to Saskatchewan twice. Yeah, actually snowboarded in Saskatchewan when I was, like, 16. They set up a quarter pipe there,
Oh, they had to set it up. Yeah.
like a full scaffolding, yeah, in the summertime.
I lived in Saskatchewan. I got off the plane It was like 2006.
Yeah.
I looked at the sky and I was like, wow, that is a big, pretty fucking sky. And then a week later, I was like, get me the fuck out of here. I need to leave this province. I need to
Beautiful
leave.
sunsets, though.
Yeah, it was beautiful sunsets. I don't know. It was just like everything was the same. Like it felt dystopian. Do you know what I mean?
Someone was saying that in Saskatchewan, you can watch, like, if your dog runs away, you're watching it run for like 5 days.
Yeah, I think it's yeah, that's the beauty thing about living in Saskatchewan. No, it's the saddest thing about living in Saskatchewan is that when your dog runs away, 3 days later you can still see it.
You still see it. You really didn't want to be here.
No, and my cat went crazy there. My cat, like, I brought my cat to Saskatchewan, and I would wake up and my cat would be like on my chest with like birds flapping their wings in my mouth, and I just in his mouth, and I'm just
he
like,
brought you gifts.
yeah,
Your
but like, and he'd just sit there, wait for me to wake up like a good little kitty, right? And I would be like, I'd feel like like this, and it was
No,
wings.
it was the feathers.
Yeah, no, it was literally wings of this bird. Like, let me out of here! Fucking help me! This cat's gonna kill me! Like, so I did. And one time I saved like 5 birds because of the stupid cat, right? But and then one time I got this bird, I put it in a towel, I went outside and I launched it, and it flew and then just died literally mid-flight, like landed on the ground, and I was like, oh fuck. I like animals. These are not funny stories, but the visual would have been a little bit funny. Like,
So you have an outdoor cat, is what you're telling us.
that cat is long gone. This cat that I have now is just become sort of an outdoor cat, and I already regret it because he kills like things like cats are fucking like they're like Al Qaeda. Like really, they like torture things. You know what his favorite thing to do is I can't believe I'm admitting this because my cat's really sweet otherwise, but he just takes tree frogs and just rips off limbs and just looks at you like it's nothing. And so whenever he's outside, I try to like make sure that he's not doing anything if I'm outside, but then it's just like I don't know what to do because either you have a cat that you're robbing the cat of its instincts to go outside, or you're allowing your cat to be a serial killer outside. So I don't know.
Does he eat the frogs?
No, he just likes to put it into tremendous amounts of pain and then leave it for dead.
Interesting.
Yeah. Maybe he gets high from them. I don't know. Do cats get high from tree frogs?
Well, just give him catnip. I don't know what's in catnip.
We grow catnip. We grow catnip.
What is catnip?
It's like a weed.
Oh.
Yeah, it's just like a weed.
People pay for that, though.
Yeah.
Does it mellow your cat out?
No.
I'm not a cat person.
No.
It makes them like crazy.
It's like meth and weed, I guess. Like if you were to smoke meth and weed, as we all have done from time to time, at the same time, that's what it's like.
Do? Does that? I don't know these things.
What do you mean? What does meth make you do? Meth makes you do all crazy things like that. Like, and then if you're a cat, you torture other animals, I guess, if you're taking catnip. Catnip is fucked up. Like catnip is not something that I think it's like a speedball. You know what speedballs are?
Obviously not.
It's like steroids. I think it's like steroids, heroin, and cocaine, and you inject it.
God.
Yeah, I know. I've never done that. I've never done that.
Thank you. I know. I was just drug tested all the time. Also.
Yeah.
Since
but
I
you
was
guys know how to get around that, right?
I had my first. Well, so they were. I don't think I should be saying this to everyone.
Go ahead. It's fine. No one's listening.
when I was like 16 and we had our first like drug talk with the people that like do it, and they're like, so marijuana stays in your system for like 2 weeks and cocaine stays in your system for like 2 days. And I was sitting there and I was like,
oh, cocaine it is.
am I the only one that did they just tell us to do cocaine?
Yep, they did, Mercedes, and I hope you listen to them because you don't want that weed in your system.
I've never done it. No. And no, we get drug tested, and I got drug tested when I was 16 by like, so when you get drug tested, I find this like super interesting because people don't know this. You are someone watches you as soon as you've been chosen to be drug tested, you have a person. And then that person comes with you wherever you go, and they also watch you pee.
Wow.
And when they watch you pee, you have to have your shirt just under your boobs and then your pants below your knees. So they're seeing everything.
But it's a female, right?
Yeah, it's a female.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's How did the cyclists get away with it for so long? Because I have a friend who used to be a professional cyclist, and he was
Yeah.
just like,
Well, you
"Is
should
this
watch
the kind?"
Icarus. Have you
Yeah,
watched the
I did
movie
watch it. It
Icarus?
was wicked.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
still not sure how they get away with it, but they do.
Well, a friend of mine, the friend that used to cycle, just told me that they have the type of cycles that you can deplete by the time you get urine tested. But that's when that was during an era when you knew when you were getting tested, and you only got surprise tested if you were a person that tested positive before, I think. So you
Right.
sort of had that. And then for Lance Armstrong, literally the lab technicians were just like, I didn't see any fucking steroids in that goddamn thing. You know, like he had everybody working for him. Even the IOC representative, whoever that
Yeah.
was covering for him because
I
if he
mean,
went,
you can't feel like a good athlete doing that, though.
yeah,
Like, you're just there to make money, I guess. You don't I don't know.
it's really disappointing when you know, the people that like, it's like finding out that actually it happens all the time. Mother Teresa, not a nice lady. Really, when you read her bio, she was a horrible person. Bill Cosby, probably the most prolific fucking rapist ever in
Mhm.
America. Like, it's always the ones that have these like stellar reputations where you have to be like a little like any day now we're gonna find out that Oprah Winfrey is like a serial killer. Like,
Oh my gosh, there
and
can be some good people out there. There
yeah,
can
Mr.
be.
Rogers, I think was good. I think he was a good guy.
Yeah. I didn't watch that, documentary, though.
I watched it. No, that you're thinking of the painter guy, right?
No.
No,
Mr. Ro wasn't it? Yeah, it was
Mr.
Mr.
Rogers
Rogers.
was a
Tom
Tom
Hanks
Hanks
played
movie.
him.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
wasn't a documentary though. Okay, but yeah,
Oh, it
you're
was
right.
just a movie.
Yeah, the movie. You're right. But he was like the guy I watched growing up. But anyways, the point is that Lance Armstrong sort of falls in that category in the sense of if you think about what it would have taken for a man to accomplish what he accomplished, and then after that raise all that money for cancer, like the guy was a bona fide hero.
Yeah,
Oops,
but he lied the whole time.
yeah, he was a complete fraud.
I know. It's disappointing. I did, like, this whole thing in Greece, about athletes being role models, and, like, are they automatically role models?
Charles Barkley. You remember?
Um, Charles Barkley, why does that sound familiar?
Charles Barkley was a basketball player, and in like 1992, he got some endorsement deal, and literally his tagline on the commercial was "I am not a role model," and he was the anti-hero, basically, of just telling people like, parents, you need to be their role model. I'm not a role model. I get drunk. I have sex with strippers all the time. Like, you know what I mean? Not for the commercial, but
Yeah.
that was his thing. But yeah, go ahead. Sorry, you were saying.
No, it's super interesting to, like, if you become an athlete in the eye, are you automatically a role model? Like, you don't get to choose that people watch you and, like, everyone makes mistakes, but some mistakes are really big and some are minor, but, like
It's sort of weird because it's not their fault. Like the real answer is no. They shouldn't have to be role models. But then
yeah,
the answer that people like to give is yes, because there are going to be kids out there that look up to them no matter what. And it's just
yeah.
like that's not their fault. Like
But then
Dennis
you're like
Rodman. Do you think a lot of people that love Dennis Rodman, had sex with Madonna and like dyed their hair and pierced their balls, like just because they like Dennis Rodman? Probably not, right?
maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Imagine that.
Well,
There's
maybe
like
not the
actually,
sex
James.
with
There's a whole
Madonna
contingent
part.
of what's that?
Maybe not the sex with Madonna part. That might be
No,
tricky.
well, but maybe. Who knows?
She looks interesting these days.
Her daughter looks interesting. Have you seen a picture of Lourdes, who's now like 20
Yeah, I
something? I
have.
think
Yeah.
she looks really interesting. Like I mean, I'm not. She sort of looks like Madonna, but sort of not. And
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what she does. I have no idea. She could be the greatest person ever, but yeah,
She
she's
might
a
be
weird
like
one.
a Paris Hilton, just get paid to go places.
You know what? I'm going to tell you something. I don't know if you've ever had the displeasure of meeting Adrian Grenier,
No, why do
but
you
I
say that?
have.
He's
We have a
not a good
personal vendetta. We have like, I was his press liaison in Calgary for Stampede in like 2011 or something. And then
This is the guy from Entourage?
yeah. So and then in Toronto the year later, whenever Entourage was canceled,
Yeah.
and the last episodes were airing, I was his press liaison. I just had to basically go wherever he went.
Yeah, you
And
were his drug tester. Okay.
yeah, kinda. I was his drug getter. I don't know about tester. Yeah, I tested them. Sure. There you go. I'm not gonna test drugs for Adrian Grenier. Fuck that. But no, but he turned out to be like just a real kind of sleazy person. I don't remember. Oh yeah, and I interviewed him for this TV spot in Calgary, and he was like, I said something about Paris Hilton. He's like, what a lot of people don't understand is that Paris Hilton's a genius. And I think that who's the Campbell's soup guy? Remember the artist with the Campbell's soup?
Oh, yeah.
That guy. He's like, I think that person. I can't remember. I always forget that person's name. I think he would hang out with Paris Hilton. And it's just like, so what? What does that mean? So the idea that like the Kardashians are that now, or were, I don't know if they still are. That idea of like
Still going.
selling a lifestyle,
Yeah.
and hitting that part of the brain of people that are in their teens and early 20s where their cortex hasn't fully developed yet, and like selling them on a lifestyle, and it's
where
just
they're not
so
actually
empty.
learning anything. They're just buying products that they really don't need.
It's so empty. Like it's the emptiest type of celebrity I can think of.
It's
Yeah.
awful. But he is now like living on a farm or something.
I don't fucking know. I hope he dies. No, I'm just kidding. I don't. We're all gonna die. I don't hope he dies. I wouldn't be disappointed. No, he did something really sleazy in Calgary. A friend of mine had a girlfriend whose little sister was not quite old enough to get into the club.
Yeah,
and that's who he took home. So, yeah, and he just left. So I stole his suite. She was 18 or something, but anyways, I stole his suite. So I brought him back to this hotel, and he was like, are we staying here? Or are we staying at this other hotel? And I was like, where do you want to stay? And I knew the other hotel was nicer, but the room was shittier. And I knew that this hotel it's still nice, but the room was fucking dope. So I was just like, listen, I'll take you to the other hotel. It is a nicer hotel, Adrian, and you deserve the best, buddy. And so I took him there. And then I went up to the room at this little boutique hotel thing. And we had like hot tubs. I fucking had I have pictures of me holding Adrian Grenier's gift basket.
Yes.
But he was a bad guy. And then I saw him in Toronto, and he like slapped me really hard on the back to say hello in front of all these people. And he's like, James, how you doing? And I'm just like, I don't think we've met. I have no fucking idea. Yeah. And that hurts him because he's a big egoist. But anyways, yeah.
Interesting.
I think we should wrap it up because I've had a good conversation. I don't want to fuck it up anymore.
I don't.
It's all about me. Sorry about that.
No, that's
listen, it was nice meeting you. I met you, by the way, through by way of Bonzi and by way of Chris and Dean. So
thank you.
Yeah.
Great.
And when does your podcast air?
I just finished a series. So my podcast is a little different. I do 10 episode series about like one subject the whole time. So I just finished a shoulder season blues series. Just wrapped it up last Thursday.
Like Rotator cuff stuff?
Shoulder season, like spring and fall.
Oh.
The blues, getting sad and how to get out of it. And how the freaking pandemic is affecting everyone as well.
Oh, that's good. I know. Yeah, a lot of people are impacted by it. That's the good kind of content. We have a renaissance of content that's happening right now when it comes to this pandemic and the creative, minds that have been influenced by it. And
yeah, no. So I was feeling super down and out, and I put a Instagram post out being like, real, not like white picket fence. I was like, I don't feel good. How is everyone else feeling right now? Can we just like all open up this conversation? And so people took to it really well. And I actually had someone come up to me and be like, thank you. And I was like, what are you talking about? They're like, thank you for that post. I ended up booking in with my counselor, and we just talked about how no one talks about this like shoulder season blues. It gets dark in the fall, and like the pandemic on top of it is just bullshit. And so I was just open and honest, and then a whole podcast series started from this, which I think is super helpful for me, and that's really all I care about. No, it's not true. I wanted to help the people. So yeah, it's out there, and I have like a bunch of doctors on it and get their advice as to what you should do, and also athletes. Yeah, I'm really proud of it.
I think that's awesome. I think, and I'm not just saying that because it's a topic that Dean and I and the other co-hosts have talked about on his show, which is that there are two types of people during this pandemic. There are the people who got busy worrying and like Googling conspiracy theories and shit like that, and then there were people that got busy working.
Mhm.
You know, like you and I have had totally different biographies, and I'll tell you that is a win for you. Because
I read your biography. You've been through a lot
I wasted. I have a biography. Do I have one?
on
No.
your
Oh, you
website.
mean like? Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
I read your
There is a lot of wasted time in my life, and so I saw this pandemic as like an opportunity to. Oh, I have free time, and I'm going to make the most of it to make up for all that other shit.
Yeah.
What's really interesting and really impressive about you is that you didn't even waste any time. You've been an elite athlete for 16 years or whatever it's been, and I think it's really great that after you're done your athletics career, as far as like competing as an elite
Mhm.
athlete, you've been able to take this pandemic and translate into things that help yourself and other people.
Mm.
That's wonderful. Well
Well, I
done.
was pretty selfish for 20 years, so it's time to give back a little
Yeah, but you
bit.
had to be because you got to win first place. There's no points for second place. Actually, there's nothing for first place either if you're a Canadian athlete. So.
It's true. No, it's getting better. I'm here to help the athletes too, which is nice.
Well, good. Well, listen, thank you so much for joining us. I had a really good time.
Me
I'd like to have you on
too.
again.
I
Let's
would love
maybe have you
to.
on for Olympic coverage when the games start.
That
Let's do
sounds
that.
amazing. Yeah.
Okay. Mercedes Nicoll, thanks so much for joining us. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. Bye-bye. She's lovely. I've never met her. I never knew I knew her name. Like I knew that I had listened to Olympics and watched Olympics in the past. So I remember the name Mercedes Nicoll, but wow, what a great aspirational figure. So that was really nice to have her on the podcast. And on that, I'm out. Thanks again to Mercedes Nicoll. I'd like to thank all of our sponsors. No, I'm just kidding. We don't have any sponsors. One day. All right. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.